Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Just at the beach, my usual spot, my usual Sunday morning spot, having my cafe, having my coffee. We're off to a good start with this live, aren't we? Let's see if we can get the English out properly. Alrighty, so I want to talk about a couple of things with you guys. I want to talk about one, if you're not in Melbourne, Melbourne has come somewhat out of our recent lockdown. And there's a lot of people experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder from that. So it's kind of like some of us have put ourselves in a 7th lockdown, which is a self-inflicted lockdown, to kind of adjust to. People need time to adjust to the idea of going back out into society and getting used to life again. And so if you are in Melbourne, just be mindful that people may need a little bit of time to adjust to coming out and getting back to life again, you know. I know you might be really eager to see your friends and family, and just be mindful if people seem a bit standoffish. It might not have anything to do with you. It probably doesn't have anything to do with you at all. So if you're just jumping on, drop me a little hello so I know you're here. And I want to talk today about this program that I've been running. The program that I've been running is called The Observer. And I am talking about the main 12 laws of the universe. So there's lots of different laws. And I'm teaching the people in this program about the 12 laws of the universe and how to use them to manifest all that your heart desires. And in all of my work, I talk about emptying your cup and cleaning up your vibration and making sure that what you say, what you think, what you feel, how you act, they all align. Because when they all align, that's when you become really connected to your higher self, and that's where you're divinely guided and you make better decisions for yourself, and you can feel energy in a really powerful way. But when you're not, and one thing is misaligned, that's when you start to create chaos in your life. Because if you have a certain set of beliefs or values even, and you're not supporting those values, you're not kind of living by those values, then you're creating energetic tears in your vibration. And that's when you welcome the chaos in, right? So you're actually creating it. And so it's really important that no matter what you do, you align. You do everything you can to align, whether that's meditating, staying away from certain people who trigger you, and then working on those triggers and actually going within and looking at what that's triggered in you, whether it's deep states of anger, rage, frustration, or it's activated an old wound that has still open and needs healing. So it's really important that you do that if you want to have a happier life, if you want to have a more peaceful life, right? So in this program, and a lot of the people have done my previous program, which is the Path of the Warrior, which I'm running again in November, in 2 weeks. But in the Path of the Warrior, I teach them, I've taught them how to release suppressed emotions, how to communicate, how to live in that aligned state, right? So that they can now step into becoming the observer. Now, the observer, which is what I always tell people to do, is someone who just notices what's going on around them, but doesn't get swept up in the chaos of life, doesn't get caught in other people's webs, right? So if a spider spun a web and a fly didn't just obliviously fly into the web, which is his chaos, which is the spider created that for him. If the fly just flew to the web and just observed it and flew away, then he'd be fine. He'd still be alive. right? But the spider's spun the web, and the fly has reacted to it and has flown straight into it and has gotten caught up in it. So it's really important that you remain the observer, because that's what happens in life. People spin webs, situations in life create webs, and then we get caught up in these webs. And then we blame the spider for spinning the web. It's really important that we start to look at why we flew straight into the web in the first place. Does that make sense? So anyway, so when you clean up your vibration, hey Mike, when you clean up your vibration and you're aligned and everything you say, think, do, feel, and how you act, it all aligns, that's where you can become the observer. And even if someone does trigger you, you don't react when you're the observer. You just go, that's interesting, that really triggered me. I'm just going to put that aside, I'm going to address it later, but I wonder what's going on for that person that they spoke to me like that in this moment, or that they're behaving in that way, or whatever it is. So it's really important to be the observer, because life is always going to be crazy. There's always going to be chaos, right? So anyway, so I want to read to you a little bit about the Law of Divine Oneness, which is what I'm talking about, what I just taught my class, the group of people that are doing my observer program. This is what I'm teaching them. This is what I taught them yesterday. And this is why it's so important to clean up your vibration, because it affects the collective. Everything you do affects the collective, whether it's negative or positive, right? Just have a sip of my coffee. Okay. The Law of Divine Oneness states that we're all connected through creation. Everything you do has a ripple effect and has an impact on the collective, not just yourself. All of your actions matter and make a difference. Even a single smile at a stranger has an impact that creates a ripple effect that you'll actually never really know about. This is why kindness and random acts of it are so important. So if you smile at a stranger, let's say you go for a walk, and I always say to people, just smile at everyone. Right? That smile might be the only interaction that person has with any human being all day or all week even. So let's say you go for a walk and you smile at a stranger, and that stranger has just had his dog put down, and he has had this beautiful relationship with this dog for the last 20 years. This dog has been his companion. And where he's had partners, romantic partners, and women have come and gone in his life, that dog has been his solid companion. And he's just lost it. So he's grieving the loss of his dog. And you smile at him in the street. And that smile and that beautiful exchange of energy, that genuine exchange of energy, it actually affects all of the cells in his body, because he's just been experiencing grief for however long. And you have just changed the energetic state in his cells, which is going to probably give him a little bit of a pep in his step. Okay? And as he continues to walk, perhaps he smiles at somebody else because he's still smiling from the smile that you gave him. And then he smiles at somebody else whose child has just been diagnosed with cancer. And that smile and that little exchange of energy just gives that person a little bit of a pep in their step, and so on and so forth. And it continues on. All because you smiled at a stranger. Right? These are the ripple effects of the things that we do that we don't know about. And sometimes we do bigger acts of kindness, right? So we, one of my friends, he told me that he buys coffee for people. So he goes to his friend's cafe and he leaves a tab there, and he buys, I don't know how many people a coffee. And so imagine what kind of ripple effect that has. Let's say he buys 10 people a coffee in one day. What kind of a ripple effect does that have? Right? So everything you do matters, even the negative stuff, and we'll talk about that in a second. Your thoughts have the ability to create new realities, because divine oneness connects everything to the universe. Everything you think has the ability to create positive or negative movement. This is why it's so important to see everyone through the eyes of love. So I talk a lot about in my work, seeing people through the eyes of love. And you know, sometimes that's really confronting for people, and they're like, what do you mean? How am I meant to see someone who's hurt me through the eyes of love? And I won't go too into it, right? Because I'll be here all bloody day. But when you choose to see people through the eyes of love, when you look back on your past and you choose to see your ex-lovers, say, through the eyes of love, what that does for you is it allows you to forgive any of their actions that hurt you. It allows you to see that person in a loving way. Because if someone hurts you, right, usually what we're conditioned to do is that person's hurt us, so then we become negative. We have these negative feelings towards them. And then we continue to have these negative feelings towards them, and that's how they continue to show up in our reality in a negative way. Right? So if you think about how you perceive someone who's always been loving to you, like a best friend or a parent, right? One that you have a really healthy relationship with, if your perception of them is loving and they keep showing up loving in your reality, and if you notice them in a bad mood one day or they say something really nasty to you and it hurts you, you don't hold on to that. You forgive them really quickly and you let it go because you're seeing them in a loving way, right? Pardon me. So when you choose to see people in a loving way, sometimes that's when they come back, but that's not what this is about. This is just about releasing the negative emotions in your body, releasing them so that you can live a life of peace. It's not necessarily about forgiving, but it does naturally happen when you see people through the eyes of love. So when you clean up your perspective and see others through the eyes of love, the universe shifts energies around and supports your vision. So it actually helps people step into higher values and become even greater versions of themselves, because your thoughts have an impact on the collective, right? This is why, and it's been scientifically proven, a group of people meditating, has an impact on the crime levels in that area. It dramatically reduces the levels of crime in that area, because what's happening is that group of people who are meditating are actually raising their own vibration, which affects everybody around them. So if we can affect how other people behave just from meditating, imagine how we can affect people in our lives that we see, if we choose to see them in a positive way. Yeah. So for example, let's say your son's done something to you and has hurt you. Hey Candace, let's say your son's done something and it's hurt you, and then you see them as this selfish person, and you've been seeing them as this selfish person. They're going to continue to show up as a selfish person because that's the thought that you're putting out there. And remember, the law of divine oneness, it doesn't judge. It just creates. It takes what you think and it creates. It takes your actions and it creates. So that's why it's really important not to do things from a place of fear. Yeah? If we're trying to wake people up from this fear-based place, what do you think you're spreading? What do you think you're creating more of, right? So we are all connected to divine oneness through vibrational energy, which means your vibrational energy is the key player in life. So make sure it's clean and pure. So this is why I talk about cleaning up your vibration, removing dense, old emotions that are holding you down and holding you back, and transmuting them into love and releasing them. Yeah, because one angry person walking around, right, projecting that anger has a really massive impact, because the law of divine oneness doesn't judge, just takes it and it creates. Yeah. So all of your beliefs, thoughts, desires, and actions move things around you based on your vibrational alignment. So this is where the law of attraction comes in. This is how you manifest. This is how you attract what you are, right? So regardless of whether all your thoughts, actions, beliefs, and desires match up, you'll continue to attract the energy that you carry within you. When you think, feel, speak, or act a certain way, either positive or negative, will begin to be attracted into your life. So you can be carrying anger, resentment, frustration, and you can also embody things like hope and love and positivity, but you're going to attract all those things. So it sounds really chaotic, right? So when you begin to embody a sense of oneness, you start to shift your low vibrating emotions because you don't want to have a negative impact on the world and the people around you. So this is why it's so important to take responsibility for how you feel. Because when you do that, you start taking responsibility for how you feel, you can change that. And then when you know, and I talked about this in my class, in my group yesterday, right? I said to my class, you have a responsibility to the collective consciousness to have a clean vibration, right? Especially if you're woke and you're doing the work and you're aware and you're tapped into your spiritual gifts. Because when you're tapped into your spiritual gifts, how you feel and how you move around the planet, it's amplified. It's more powerful than those who are not woke, right? That's why we don't need a lot of woke people to create dramatic and long-lasting change on the planet. We just need a small group of people who are awake and who are aligned to do that. So love vibrates at a high frequency that naturally transmutes low vibrating energies into love. Okay? Energy can be transmuted, not destroyed. When you embody love, all of that delicious energy attracts similar things back to you. So this is why, guys, I always talk about if you get triggered, if you're angry, if somebody has done something to hurt you, forget about them and go within and try and figure out what the hell's going on with you that you're so angry and triggered, because that person has just literally opened a door to a part of your soul that you now have access to, that you can go explore. And yes, it's painful. It's not easy. It's not just like, oh, I'll go walk through the door now and let's have a look at what we find in the shadows of my soul. It's hard and it's confronting. But if you want to be free, if you want to become this peaceful person, then you got to clean out. You got to clean out the corners of your soul. You got to declutter them. You got to declutter the corners of your soul. Otherwise, you're going to spend the rest of your life being triggered and charged up and angry, and it's going to destroy your nervous system, and you're going to get sick, and it's going to be debilitating, and you're going to struggle physically, right? Because the body can only handle so much. The body can only carry anger and guilt and resentment and frustration for so long before it starts to manifest into illness. So, hey Labrini. So it's really important, right? Hey Malik, it's really important that you take responsibility for how you feel, and you do everything you can to raise your vibration. Because when you're vibrating high, when your thoughts are clean towards others, towards yourself, when your emotions are clean, when you're to the best of your ability, right? No one's perfect. No one's a Buddha sitting on a tree, under a tree on a mountain, feeling nothing and thinking just love. It's impossible to do that. I'm sure some people have done it, but when you live in society, you're going to get triggered. But if you can do your best, just one little shift in energy, one tiny little act of kindness, one tiny little improvement on how you perceive yourself or you perceive people in your past or in your current reality, it has a massive ripple effect. Yeah? The universe kind of does this thing where it rewards you. I don't really like that word, rewards. It sends love back to you, right? It's almost like when you do it from this really authentic place of love, you don't think about what's going to come back to you. You're just like, shit, that person needs my help. I'm going to go help them, right? Or I want to give that to someone. Or, you know, often people come to me and they're like, what am I meant to do in this situation? And I just try and help them. And I don't think, what am I getting back? I just think, wow, if I've just ended that person's suffering, if I've just pulled them out of a dark hole, it makes me feel good, right? It makes me feel good as a person. I don't think what's going to come back to me, but it always does. And it always comes back tenfold. Yeah? Tenfold. So, I hope this video has helped you in some way. If you have any questions, just drop them below. And I look forward to chatting with you guys again next time. Thanks for watching and spending your Sunday morning or Saturday evening with me, wherever in the world you may be. And I'm sending you lots of love.